Hey guys, what is up? Merry early Christmas. Today is Christmas Eve. I hope you guys are having a good holiday season. I hope you guys are having a good winter break. And I just hope you guys are having an overall good time with your family, despite COVID and the Omicron variant and all this shit going on in the world. But hopefully you guys are finding a good way to celebrate, whether virtually or in person. I hope you guys are having a good time. With that being said, I have a Christmas video for you guys today. This one is called 3 Disturbing True Christmas Horror Stories. My computer has been lagging. This is actually my second time about to record this video. So I'm just really, like, even though it's downloaded, it's still lagging. And I'm like, why are you lagging? It's downloaded. Like, it's downloaded. I'm gonna have to close this again because I saw it being laggy there too. So, like, I have to delete some videos here just to clear up some storage and make the RAM a little bit faster. But yeah, not really too much to say before this video, but yeah, it's gonna be a Mr. Nightmare video. Again, I hope you guys are having a good, safe, happy holiday season. Just a heads up, one of my coworkers the other day did play this video. I did not hear it. I just heard the first story briefly. I believe it's about snowmen. That's all I really recall or know. Yeah, I just want to show you guys my Christmas sweater if you guys haven't seen this yet. I have no idea who this bitch is. I just bought this because I was like, I'm just here for presents, and that's me. So I wanted to get this sweater. I do also have a sweater. It's like a cat sweater, like a cat Christmas sweater, which I don't know where I went. Am I sitting on it? No, I'm not. Okay, yeah, I don't know where I went. I already lost it. I bought it a few days ago and I lost it already. So yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like something I would do. Anyway, guys, yeah, I hope this doesn't lag. But again, I do kind of recall the first story a little bit. I think it's about snowmen. Not positive, not too sure, but I guess we'll find out. This is already a long intro, so without further ado, let's get into this video. And again, I hope you guys are having a good, safe, happy holiday season and a good holiday break. Yeah, hopefully this does not lag. I did see the first like 30 seconds, like literally 5 minutes ago.
It's a cold December
night
before Christmas. My family always does Christmas in our Hamptons, New York summer house. The Hamptons are always quiet this time of year, as a large chunk of the real estate there is owned by rich people who have 2 or 3 other houses elsewhere in the country. My dad and I were at the house first before the rest of my family, as my mom and sister still had work until the next weekend. My dad was retired at the time, and school was over for winter break for me, so we wanted to just go to the Hamptons house early. We all have our own bedrooms in this house, which sits on a quiet dead-end road. My dad turned on the heat and water and all that stuff that he always has to take care of when we return for the first time in months.
Okay.
I brought my PS3 to play in my room. I spent most of the first day there playing video games. On that first night we were there was a big snowstorm. Another reason we wanted to come early. To beat the crappy road conditions that would come for days after the storm. The next morning when I woke up and went out to the kitchen, my dad asked me when I built the snowman. I responded, "What do you mean?" He said the snowman in the backyard. I went to look out the window, and there was at least 2 feet of fresh snow. But there was also a snowman sitting in our backyard. It had 2 sticks for arms angled up into the air, and it had eyes and a smile carved into the head. The eyes and mouth side was facing the window. I said to my dad I didn't build that.
I've never built a snowman ever, and I'm 22.
Said, "Must be the neighbor kids." My dad thought it was an innocent joke, so I did as well. The next night is where things got bad, though. I was in bed asleep, and suddenly woke up to a distinct thump on my window. I was terrified. I pulled the blankets over myself to hide, to not be in view of whoever might be out there. But after 5 minutes, I started to wonder maybe it was snow that fell off the roof and blew into the window.
Yeah, okay.
I got up to peek out the window. I screamed, because at first I thought what I saw was a person, but it was actually another snowman standing right outside my window.
The fuck?
There was an angry frown on this one instead of a smiling face. I screamed for my dad, and he came rushing inside.
I'd be scared.
I pointed at the window, and this time he wasn't happy. He said he would go next door in the morning and talk to the kids' parents. I slept in my sister's room.
It's probably not even them.
The next morning, my dad went next door and rang the bell. But they weren't home. There were no cars in the driveway. That meant they weren't even in town.
Told ya.
That was the only nearby house with kids in it. So this didn't exactly help explain the situation. For 5 or 6 days straight, nothing else happened until Christmas Eve night. The rest of our immediate family, plus all 4 of our grandparents, were now in the house. We were in the living room. This was before dinner, but it was already dark out. Someone knocked on the front door instead of using the doorbell. We weren't expecting any other family. I started to get nervous. My dad went over and asked, "Who is it?" Someone on the other side of the door started saying, "Please let me in, I need help." The door has no peephole or windows, nor are there any windows that would allow us to see who was on the other side of the door.
You need windows.
My dad asked what's wrong, and the voice on the other side said, "I have no one to spend Christmas with, please help me." We all looked at each other now, and my dad yelled to please leave before we call the police. The person on the other side said, "Okay, I'll leave, please don't call the police." He never opened the door. We instantly tied this to the creepy snowmen. We knew it had to be connected. And we were right. On Christmas morning, there was a note taped to our front door. It said, "To the best of my memory, I just wanted to have a little fun. I built the snowmen for the boy in the house. I don't have anyone to spend the holiday with. Hurt." In one way or another, I think whoever left that note on our door and built those 2 snowmen was mentally ill or unstable. It's very unlikely that it was meant to be a joke, considering he came to our front door. I think he was dangerous, and even if he wasn't inherently hostile, the fact that he did what he did is just enough for him to be considered somebody none of us wanted to meet.
Yeah, it's not like a terrible horror story, but it just sounds definitely kind of creepy. Definitely unsettling. You know, it's kind of like, I'm lonely, so I'm just going to make a snowman for you because I know you have a kid inside.
My name is Andre, and at the time I was 21 years old. Our family was all at our Uncle Joshua's place for the holidays. Well, it was Christmas Eve. My immediate family, plus my cousins and other close family, decided let's go to my uncle and aunt's place in downtown Miami. We come from Connecticut, so we're not used to warm weather around the holidays. It was Friday, the day before Christmas Eve. My brother Nico and I, being young single males and being in Miami, wanted to go out. We were hearing about a bunch of Christmas-themed parties going on at clubs and bars. Nico was 18 at the time, but he had a fake ID, so we figured he'd be alright. We went to this one club on Miami Beach that was having a Christmas-themed event. Mostly everyone online was wearing Santa hats, so it felt festive. But it was all a waste of time because at the front of the line, the bouncer not only told us it would be $100 to get in, but he also called Nico out on his fake ID.
Oh shit.
So we tried a bar not too far away, and we got into this one. There were some people wearing Santa hats here too. I guess that was expected on the weekend of Christmas. While we were at the bar, this older woman started talking to Nico. I overheard most of their conversation. The woman appeared to be mid-40s, and I heard her keep telling my brother how she has such a thing for younger guys with Hispanic accents. To be honest, it sounded kind of creepy and weird, but Nico was probably blinded by the fact that a woman was hitting on him. I just let him do his thing. The woman was wearing a blue Santa hat and had on a sexually provocative Christmas sweater. The 2 of them were talking for so long that I ended up making friends with the guy sitting next to me at the bar. Then suddenly Nico patted me on my shoulder and said he's gonna leave with the woman. I told him all right. I was happy for him, I guess. I stayed at the bar not much longer after that, and I just called an Uber back to my uncle's, assuming Nico would be spending the night with the woman. I was mid-Uber ride when my phone rang. Nico was calling me. I picked up to static. It sounded as though maybe he pocket dialed me, but I heard a male's voice in the background that didn't sound like my brother. And then suddenly another male's voice could be heard yelling. I said Nico's name over and over, trying for acknowledgement, but the call eventually disconnected. Obviously, this was a pretty concerning phone call. I was under the impression he was alone with a woman. I tried calling him like 10 times, and finally someone picked up. But it wasn't Nico. It was the voice of some older man with an extremely deep voice. When I asked who this was, he said he found this phone on the sidewalk.
Liar.
I asked him if he could drop the phone off at my uncle's place, or if he could meet me somewhere. He didn't answer that. I just heard talking in the background, and then I heard screaming. It was Nico's voice in the background, screaming my name, screaming help. Then the call disconnected.
Oh, fuck.
I asked the Uber driver to pull over, as I was freaking out trying to call anyone in my family. It was late, no one was picking up. I explained the situation to the driver, and he advised I call the police immediately. That's what I did. The police came to my uncle's place, where I woke my family up, informing them that Nico was in trouble. I had to give my best description of the woman's appearance from the bar and what time he left the bar. Then my dad and I, along with the police, went to the bar that we were at, and it was then that I got a phone call from a random number. It was Nico. He was out of breath, gasping into the phone, explaining that he was kidnapped and barely escaped.
I knew
he was
it.
currently using a stranger's phone. All of us went to Nico's location, which was a sketchy street somewhere in North Miami. When we found him, his face was a bloody mess. He had 2 black eyes, and all of his possessions that he had on him were stolen.
What the fuck?
He gave his whole story. He left with the woman who claimed to have called an Uber or Lyft. When the alleged ride arrived at their pickup point, which was in some quiet back alley area,
of course,
Nico found out once inside the car that it wasn't in fact an Uber. It was a trap. There were 2 men in the car who immediately held him down and threatened to shoot him if he didn't keep quiet. They started to drive for a while, and during this time, one of the men called my number, and they threatened to harm him if he yelled out anything, which he did, and that explained the bloody face and black eyes. They broke his phone, took his wallet, keys, and whatever else was on him. As the car was stopped and he wasn't being held down anymore, he ran for it out of the car. They didn't chase him, the car just sped off and disappeared. He said he believed they were going to kill him and dump his body somewhere if he didn't run.
Fuck.
Police apparently were never able to identify the woman who appeared in the video footage from the bar.
Yeah, it was like
Nico said none of the men were wearing masks, more of a reason he thought they'd kill him. This completely ruined the entire holiday weekend, but we were all just happy he was alive.
Right?
On Christmas night, we were all awoken to Nico's screams in the middle of the night. He was screaming, "She's in the house."
What?
I woke him up from whatever nightmare he was having. I have to say though, him screaming "she's in the house" made me think back to her creepy smile, and made me sleep with one eye open that night.
Like, I legit thought for a second, wait, is she actually in the house or is he just dreaming? Fuck. There's like a freaking catfish. Be careful meeting people. Fuck. Don't trust anybody. See, this is why you can't trust people, man.
My brother George a couple years back. We hosted Christmas the first year we lived in the house, just as a way of getting the family to see the place and getting everyone together for the first time in forever.
Okay.
We don't have the biggest family in the world, so it was the 2 of us, our parents, our aunt and uncle, cousin, and our sister and 2 nephews. Our sister came with our nephews and her husband first to help us out with the cooking and preparing. They brought their dog Mika along as well. Since they lived 2 hours away, they were going to be spending the night at our house. The rest of our family lives under an hour away, so they wouldn't be staying. Not that that house would have much more room for additional people staying over anyway. During our Christmas dinner, at one point we talked about some of the murders that happened in our area recently.
Oh, that's a great
Bodies
topic.
had been found in the woods in our county. It wasn't a topic that we kept going long, as our mom and my sister wanted us to drop it for the sake of the holiday and the kids.
Well, yeah, why the hell are you talking about
After
murder?
dinner, we all had some wine in the living room with a Christmas movie on in the background as we talked. After a few hours, the family started to slowly leave, until it was just my brother and I, and my sister, her husband, and her kids. The kids went to bed before us. The 4 of us stayed up later having more wine. My girlfriend ended up coming over past 10 to spend the rest of the night with me, since all of her family had gone home. Eventually, Christmas night was over, and it was time to go to bed. I woke up to my girlfriend shaking me. The room was still dark. I groggily looked at the clock next to my bed, and it said 2-something a.m. I asked my girlfriend what the issue was, and she whispered, "Listen." I listened, and heard Mika out in the hall growling. I got out of bed and entered the hall to see what was going on. Then I saw that the back door to our house was wide open, and a breeze of cold air started to hit me in the face.
Oh, shit.
Mika was looking out the door. I checked if anyone was out there, and as I was at the back door, I heard my brother's voice call out my name from the darkness outside. He sounded like he was far away in the woods. I was worried he was in trouble or needed help with something. I went back to my room to tell my girlfriend, as I put my shoes and coat on.
I'll be right back. Sorry guys, I had to deal with something right then and there. I couldn't wait till the end of the video, unfortunately. But yeah, so at this point, he went to tell his girlfriend that he's gonna help his brother because he's outside and it seemed that he needed help. So that's where we are right now. Let's go, guys.
I stepped outside with a flashlight. There was a light dusting of snow on the ground, enough to see footmarks leading from the back door down to the back deck towards the woods. I yelled back George's name very loudly. I heard his voice call back my name. It was confirmed he was in the woods now. But oddly, as I entered the woods, his footprints slowly faded and got harder to see, until they were just impossible to continue following entirely. I screamed back at the top of my lungs, "Where are you? What's wrong?" I once again heard George's voice call back just my name. Every time he called me, his voice was the same distance away. I was uncomfortable getting any further away from my house because I didn't want to get lost in the woods.
I feel like it's just like a setup to like lure him out.
George's phone, but he didn't pick up. I continued a little further into the woods, but now George's yelling stopped. As much as I yelled out into the woods, there was dead silence. Not even the sound of a bug in the freezing cold. Just the sound of the light breeze.
I feel like he was just lured out.
My phone rang. I was hopeful it was George, but it was my girlfriend. I picked up, and she said, "Chet, George is in his bedroom right now." "What?" I said. That didn't make any sense. I was hearing his voice this entire time in the woods. I asked her to check if my sister's husband was also still on one of the pull-out couches, and 30 seconds later, she said yes. Suddenly, I felt like I wasn't alone in the woods.
You're not.
Like anyone was about to grab me from any direction. I turned back the way I came and started running as fast as I could. I didn't stop until I saw the backyard light from my house becoming more visible through the trees.
Good.
I made it back to my house, and everyone was awake now. George and everyone else had a look of horror on their faces when I explained that Mika was growling, looking at the wide-open back door, and the fact that there were footprints leading into the woods. But the scariest part was that I thought for sure that the voice I was hearing was that of George, and whoever it was knew my name. We contemplated calling the police for half an hour, and then ended up doing so.
Good.
A police officer came and just asked us any questions like if anything was stolen, if we know anyone that may mean us harm, etc. Then, within half an hour, and after telling us to call back if anything else happens, he left. I don't know if I think this had anything to do with the murders that were going on at this time in our county, but I did think it was worth mentioning in the story. Nothing else did ever happen after that night, but we can't for the life of us logically explain any of this. I'm still scared to go in or near the woods past dark.
Shit. Yeah, I don't even know what to think about that, because, like, how did that even happen? Like, how would that even happen? Like, it's literally George. It's your brother. You hear your brother talking. So it's like he had a recording of the brother, and he knew the guy's name. So it's like, obviously it's someone that knew them, or knew of them, like, knew them, their names and everything, knew where they lived, of course, like, they obviously knew about them, you know what I mean? Otherwise, how would they know, right? So it's kind of scary for sure. Shit. I mean, I'm glad, I guess everyone ended up okay, but I feel, yeah, it was like a setup to like lure him out or do something. So it was definitely to lure him out, because it's not even him, he knows that he'll follow because it's his brother. Yeah, it was just weird because the door was open, he was growling, the dog was growling, so it's like the dog already knew something was up. He was like, "Rrr." So it's like the dog knew that it wasn't George, because I don't think that the dog would bark at George or be growling at George if that's the brother, right? Unless the dog hasn't seen him before, maybe he'd growl, but you know what I mean? Like, if the dog knows you, then it's not going to growl at you. Or if it knows you and it knows that you're a good person, then it's not going to growl at you, at least. So, yeah, I don't even know what to say to that, but I'm glad everyone's okay. Again, be careful, you never know what's going on, right? So, yeah, fuck, these stories were pretty scary for, like, Christmas that I've heard for this one, and then the other one I saw. Damn. But, yeah, be safe, guys. Like, Christmas horror can happen. It's never happened to me. Knock on wood. It definitely still can, so knock on wood. Definitely knock on wood all the time, every day. All day, every day. And hope for the best. But yeah, happy holidays, guys. I hope you do have a good Christmas tomorrow. Today we're going to celebrate with my family in a couple hours, basically. Yeah, it'll be a really fun day, just like a Christmas Eve normally is. If I do have any horror stories, then I'll, of course, let you guys know. But as of right now, I do not have any Christmas horror stories, which I'm glad to not have any. But it's definitely entertaining hearing Christmas stories, because, like, but the scary thing is like, you look up Christmas stories and there's always so many, so it's like, fuck, like, there's always so many. It's like, what was gonna happen to me next? Fuck. But yeah, happy holidays, whatever. I hope you guys celebrate, have fun. Hope you guys are having a good break and all that from school, maybe work. And yeah, just have a good holiday season, guys. And it's almost the new year. Hopefully 2022 is better. Every year we say that, it never is better. It just kind of keeps getting worse, it seems like. But hopefully 2022 will be better. It's not going to be. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. And yeah, deuces.